Good afternoon, welcome to Vanik-Ias. We will discuss current affairs of March 2nd, and we'll discuss first thing is regarding NGO Day, which is in 27th February. Every year we celebrate 27th February as NGO Day. Right? It is World NGO Day all over the world. India has over 3 million non-governmental organization, non-governmental NGOs, around 3 million non-governmental NGOs that work across a wide range of arenas and play important roles, facilitator, catalyst, partner, and bringing social transformation. Right? What is an NGO? Non-governmental organization. It's a non-state actor. Generally, we use the word non-state actor in case of terrorist or criminal, but you can also, when it used as a positive way, that is NGO, non-state actor, right? NGOs are they play a significant role so far as development of masses is concerned, and especially they are the voice of the deprived persons. For example, there are various types of NGOs. There are some NGOs are working for animals, animal rights. Some NGOs are working for judicial rights of the deprived persons. Some NGOs are taking care of so many animals. Some NGOs are working in case of educations of deprived persons. For example, those who belongs to slum areas or some there are many orphanages. Those some NGOs are working for orphans, and some NGOs are also working in for environmental causes, right? And there are many NGOs who are working for health sector, of the deprived persons. There are some political NGOs as well who convey the message to political parties. They are act as a breeze between the government and the people in distress, right? They highlight the political issues. For example, a particular person do not have house, then they don't have voice. Nobody listen to them, and those NGOs reach out to them, right? And there is another new way of using technology that we call as crowdfunding. We are using crowdfunding system to develop a particular NGO, and they collect money and distribute them. So they have a significant role. Many sometimes what happens, government gives a project to the non-state to those NGOs who has good reputation. For example, government has to plant so many trees. Then rather than giving a contract, they can give it to an environmental NGOs. Right? Those NGOs who have good reputation in working, those who have good reputation in working, they will get the project from the government to work on that. So especially those who are they are the social workers, so they have a special intention or objective to work towards social good, right? That's why they are provided. Government also facilitated them by giving project, and they work on that, and then it is seen that they work better than the functioning of government agencies. Okay, still there are many issues with respect to NGOs. First thing, let's see what are the history of World NGO Day. The day assumed the official status of when 12 member countries of the nine Baltic Sea NGO Forum of 17th April 2010 formally recognized it. So some countries formally recognized to 27th February as NGO Day. NGO Day. In 2012, the forum's financial statement resolution adopted the day. Although the day was recognized officially in 2010, although day was recognized officially in 2010, it was only 2014 that for the first time World NGO Day was observed in United Nations. So since 2014 we are observing 27th February as the day for NGOs, right? In by United Nations. The main man behind the day was Marcis Lyers and Skadmanis. Marcis Lyers Skadmanis of an UK-based social entrepreneur who inaugurated 2014 World NGO Day. The day was conceived to spread awareness of the tremendous contribution of NGOs all around the world. to spread awareness of the tremendous contribution of NGOs all around the world and honor the relentless efforts and social workers both in the public and private sectors. Honor the relentless efforts of the social workers both in the public and private sectors. Right. Spread awareness of the tremendous contribution of NGOs of all around the world. This is the objective of World NGO Day. Right. Next. What is the role of NGOs in Indian democracy? NGOs endeavor to plug gaps in the government programs and reach out to sections of people often left untouched by the state projects. For example, providing aid to migrant workers. For example, providing aid to migrant workers in COVID-19 crisis. They have worked significantly. Right? What is the basically? So they plug the gaps in government programs and reach out to the sections which are left untouched by the state projects. For example, during the COVID pandemic, many people migrated. They returned to home from the cities by various means. They suffered food crisis, and at that time, NGOs played very significant role and they distributed food and basic necessities. In present situation scenario, when India is combating COVID-19, non-profits have been on the ground working tirelessly and direct supplement to government efforts to bring relief and actively engage in vaccination drives in most of the vulnerable communities. Right? They are also helping so far as vaccination is concerned. They are working significantly and helping to increase the vaccination reach to the rural areas and those areas with those people who are not covered under the not getting those facilities because of because of because they belongs to remote areas, right? So at in present scenario, next, these facilitating activities like poverty alleviation, they work in poverty alleviation. For example, if a particular NGO is providing educational help to the children of a particular person who is poor, then it's also lead poverty alleviation. Then water, environment, women rights and literacy, they have been dynamic in almost all sectors: health, education, livelihood, rural and urban areas. Health, education, livelihood, rural and urban areas. Role of enabler, community level outfits, self-help groups. If you consider self-help groups, they have tremendously impacted the rural areas, rural economy, because they provide collective debt, right? For example, a collective loan is provided by the bank to self-help groups, that is especially combinedly made by the women. Self-help groups are critical for bringing any change in the ground. In the past, such as grassroots organizations have been enabled by collaboration with bigger NGOs and research agencies that have access to foreign funding. Community level outfits and self-help groups are critical for bringing any change in the world. In the past, such as grassroots organizations have been enabled by collaboration with bigger NGOs. See here, some grassroots organization has enabled by collaboration with bigger NGOs and research agencies that have access to foreign funding. So self-help group. First, if we address self-help groups, they work in several manner. For example, we have it is highly successful in southern areas. In northern area, it is relatively less successful. Still, it is growing. In case of Odisha, if you see, there is a Mission Shakti dramatic development. I have seen in Mission Shakti, various NGOs are producing various small scale goods. For example, their small set goods and vegetables and fruits, or mushroom cultivation, various combinedly active, they are combinedly they are working, right? And it has given the power to women, especially rural women, increasing their digital literacy, increasing their financial literacy, and also providing self sufficiency. And these self help groups also works to provide midday meal schemes, and they have also reduced the caste barriers, because various groups, various caste of people are coming together to form a group or work together. That's why that are also reducing the social division that existed in rural economy, rural society. Right. Another thing is that if the small NGOs, especially those NGOs which are small NGOs, they are working with collaboration with big NGOs, right? Bigger NGOs and research agencies, and which who have access to foreign funding, and they are implementing the things. Acting as a pressure group. These political NGOs that mobilize public opinion against government policies and actions. There are some pressure groups, for example, Farmers Union. They are also one type of NGOs. They are non-government organizations. They act as a pressure group. They pressurize the government to bring some new policies in in the benefit of the farmers or the peasants. To the extent such NGOs are able to educate the public and put pressure on the public policy and act as an important pressure group in the democracy, right? Increasing the MSP or giving subsidy in various things. So they act as a pressure group. Then role as a participative governance. Many civil society initiatives have contributed to some of the path-breaking laws in the country, including Environment Protection Act 1986, Right to Education Act 2009, Forest Right Act 2006, Right to Information Act 2005, Mahatma Monrega Juvenile Justice IC and Integration Child Protection Scheme NGOs also partner with the government successfully to implement major campaigns like Swachh Bharat Abhijan or Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. Swachh Bharat Abhijan or Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. These are the major campaigns. Right. So these are the civil society. These Environmental Protection Act or Right to Education Act, Forest Right Act, Right to Information, Manrega Scheme, Juvenile Justice, all these things they are especially induced by the civil society, and civil society played a significant role to bring these legislative reforms and governance reforms. Next, act as a social mediator. NGOs work as a social mediator. Social intermediation is an intervention of different levels of society by various agents of social and behavioral attitudes within the prevailing social environment for achieving desired results in the societies where people are still steeped in superstition, faith, belief, customs. NGOs catalyst and create awareness, right? They create the various dramas by various songs by various uh, public presentation. They reduce such type of superstitions, right? And also they reduce the change in the beliefs, bring the rationalization in the belief system of the village areas. What are the issues emanating from NGOs? Lack of credibility. During the last few years, numerous organizations have mushroomed which claim to work for the cause for helping the poor. Under the grab of being NGO, these NGOs are often mint money from donors and are involved in money laundering activities. So there is lack of credibility of various NGOs. They engage in money laundering activities. Next, lack of transparency. India's is a disproportionate number of NGOs and the sector's lack of transparency and accountability is clearly an issue that need reforms. Further, the allegation of corruption against NGOs are ignored. In the past, many NGOs were blacklisted after being found to have indulged in misappropriation of funds. Right? In India's disproportionate number of NGOs and sector's lack of transparency, the disproportionate number of NGOs and sectors' lack of transparency and accountability is clearly an issue that needs reforms. Further allegations of corruption. There are various allegations of corruption against NGOs are ignored. And in the past, many NGOs are blacklisted. There is no lack of transparency, there is corruption, so they are blacklisted. What are the main challenges of NGOs face? Lack of funds. Many NGOs find it difficult to garner sufficient and continuous funding for their work. Gaining access to appropriate donor is a major component of this challenge. Earlier, Union Ministry of Home Affairs cancelled Union Ministry of Home Affairs cancel the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act FCRA 2010, registration of various non-governmental organizations. Suspension of FCRA license means the NGO can no longer receive fresh foreign funds for donors pending approved by Home Ministry. The FCRA is mandatory association and NGOs to receive foreign funds. Right? To receive foreign funds, it is essential to mm, mm, get the FCRA license, right? And various Home Minister of Home Affairs has cancelled various NGOs. Why they have cancelled? Because they are indulging in illicit activities. They are funding terror funding. They are engaging in terror funding and funding to Naxalites and various affairs. That's why they are suspended. That's why their license was banned. Many NGOs suffer from the lack of cohesive strategic plan that would facilitate success in their activities and mission, rendering them unable to effectively raise and capitalize financial support. They lack strategic planning. Then poor governance and networking. Many NGOs have a deficit of understanding why they must have a board and how to set one up. Poor and disorganized networking another major challenge. It can cause duplicate efforts, time inefficiency, conflicting strategy, and inability to learn from experience. Many NGOs do not maximize the use of current technologies that could facilitate better communication and networking. Then limited capacity. NGOs often lack technical and organizational capacity to fulfill their mission. Few are willing and able to invest in training and capacity building. Weak capacity affects fundraising ability, governance, leadership, and technical areas. So limited capacity. NGOs have limited capacity because they lack organizational capacity, and there is poor governance in networking. They do not use the technology to reach the masses, and because it will become very difficult for them to manage the financial requirements. Right. So these are the issues that are faced by NGOs. Development approaches. Many NGOs favor a hardware approach for development through building infrastructure and providing services instead of empowering people and institutions locally. Instead of empowering people and institutions, they are focused on hardware and providing services. India is committed to sustainable development goals in 2030, and long-term strategy is important to keep the focus while also pursuing sustainable growth and development. It is, however, important to know that success of long-term strategy depends on not only the lessons learned from implementing short-term and medium-term development strategies, but also cooperation and coordination from various sectors. The government, India, NGOs, capacity building, training can help provide crucial skills. NGOs can then more readily train staff, cultivate necessary skills within the organization to address challenges going forward. It is necessary to regulate corrupt NGOs. It is also necessary to regulate corrupt NGOs. However, excessive regulation of current FCRA may affect the working of NGOs and helpful in implementing the government scheme in grassroots. Then next is Operation Ganga, which is in news, uh, which is now at present Operation Ganga. This is the most important thing, significant thing that is what is this Operation Ganga. Government has launched monetary from initiative Operation Ganga, dedicated to 300 OP Ganga helpline also to assist Indian evacuation from Ukraine. Ukraine crisis has been going on. There is Russian aggression on Ukraine, right? Because of strategic and geopolitical issues, and that's why Indian students, there are around 20,000 students who are in Ukraine, especially for for the studies of medicine, right? They need to be evacuated. The tensions between Russia and Ukraine are currently heightened, with war erupting in Ukraine after Russian military launched a series of attacks recently. What is Operation Ganga? It is an evacuation mission to bring back all the Indian nationals who are currently stranded in Ukraine. Evacuation mission to bring back all the Indian nationals. There are around 20,000 Indians, including the students, struck in Ukraine. Around 20,000 Indians are there. Till now, three Air India flights have been able to bring back more than 900 Indians from UK. 3 Air India flights. The Indian evacuation flights are operating from neighboring countries like Romania and Hungary. Hungary, right? The government also facilitating evacuation of stranded Indians from its borders. Facilitating evacuation of stranded Indians from its border crossing Romania, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia. Remember these areas. These are the Balkan countries, Romania, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia. These are the countries that become Balkanized in late 19 or late 1990s. In 1991 we can say. And in these countries, so they're important so far as geography is concerned because they are important with respect to current affairs. Evacuation flights operating from neighboring countries like Romania, Hungary. What is the evacuation operation carried out by India? Now we will study the various evacuation operation. First is Operation Ganga 2022, that is in Ukraine, right? Next, Vande Bharat mission. The tension between Russia and Ukraine currently heightened with war in Ukraine after Russian military launched series of attacks recently. Second is Vande Bharat mission. What is this Vande Bharat mission? The COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. The center launched Vande Bharat mission to bring on Indian citizens stranded in foreign countries. In multiple phases of operation, around 60 lakh Indians were brought back. As on 30th April 2021, 60 lakh Indian brought back. Right, Vande Bharat mission 2022. Then Operation Samudra Setu. Operation Samudra Setu, Samudra Setu is part of our national effort to bring back Indian citizens from overseas during COVID-19 pandemic. It successfully brought around 3,992 Indian citizens to homeland by sea. Operation Samudra Setu. It was also like it is also like this Vande Bharat mission. It is what it is in sea. Indian naval ships Jalaswa landing platform dock and Airabat Sardul Magar landing ships participated in the operation which lasted over 55 days and traversing more than 20,000 km by sea. Evacuating from Brussels 2016, in March 2016, Belgium was hit by terrorist attack at Brussels airport, Zaventem and one at Malvik metro station of central Brussels. Total 242 Indians, including 28 crew members, returned to India in a Jet Airways flight. Evacuation from Brussels. Brussels. In March 2016, Belgium was hit by terrorist attacks at Brussels. That is next Operation Rahat. It is when the conflict between Yemeni government, Yemen, and Houthi rebels. Thousands of Indians stranded in Yemen are also inaccessible by air due to no flight zone announced by Saudi Arabia. Under Operation Rahat, India evacuated around 5,600 people under Yemen. Operation Rahat. Operation Maitri. India is a joint relief and rescue operation by the Indian government and Indian armed forces after shock of 2015 Nepal earthquake. The joint army air force operation brought around 5,000 Indian back from Nepal. 5,000 Indian back from Nepal by air force and civil planes. The Indian army successfully evacuated around 170 nationals from US, UK, Germany. 170 nationals are from US, UK, Germany. Operation Safe Homecoming. India launched Operation Homecoming to bring back Indian citizens stuck in conflict Libya, right? Libya in 2021. India evacuated around 15,000 Indian nationals, 15,000 and foreign Indian nationals from Operation Homecoming, that is from Libya, right? The ARC operation was conducted by Indian Navy and Air India. Operation Sukun. Operation Sukun, Israel and Lebanon. Conflict 2006, India rescued stranded citizen by launching operation now famously known as Beirut Sea Lift, largest naval rescue mission, Dunkirk evacuation. A task force evacuated around 2,280 people from Nepalese and Sri Lankan nationals between 19th July and 1st August 2006. At Operation Sukun in 2006, Israel and Lebanon broke conflict. Right. Next, 1990 Kuwait airlift. When 1 lakh Iraqi soldiers armed 700 tanks marched to Kuwait, the royals and VIPs fled to Saudi Arabia. The general public left behind fend for themselves. Over 1,70,000 of those stranded in Kuwait were Indians. Indian crypto evacuation process, which over 1,70,000 were airlifted and repatriated to India. 1,70,000 were airlifted and repatriated to India in 1990 Kuwait airlift. Next topic is most important, that is UN resolution in condemning Russian aggression. Right. So, United Nations Security Council voted the draft resolution by US and Albania that sought to condemn Russia aggression and called immediate cessation of violence and the withdrawal of Russian army from Ukraine. The Council has reaffirmed its commitment to sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity of Ukraine, right, within international recognized borders. The resolution deplores strongest terms of Russia's aggression against Ukraine and decides Russia shall immediately cease of the use of force against Ukraine and shall refrain from any further unlawful threat. It's Russia's immediately cease and any further unlawful threat to use force against Union member state. The original version was too strong as it invoked UN Chapter 7, which authorized the use of force against Russian troops in Ukraine. So, this was the UN resolution that was brought by USA that condemned Russian aggression in Ukraine and that also urges to stop immediately to cease fire and also to refrain from further to refrain from unlawful threat and use of force in Ukraine. Let's see the next. So, which these are the area? How much Ukraine does Russia control? First thing, these are the regions where Russia control Crimea, Russia has access the Crimean region, Luhansk region, right, Donetsk region. They especially these are the region now they are attacking the Kiev region, right? Why? Because they are getting support from the local population. So these are the areas of Ukraine where these are the control. The red areas are the areas where control under Russia. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. Right. Now, why Russia is doing so? Russia is doing so because Russia has given justification that Ukraine is the neighborhood of Russia and there should not be any presence of NATO missiles. There should not be any development of NATO. So far as Ukraine is concerned, the neighborhood of Russia concerned. NATO should not move towards eastwards, right? Russia is concerned about its neighborhood security and any type of presence in NATO in its neighbor is cannot be tolerated. It is what Putin has clarified. Next, it also asked Russia to immediately and unconditionally reverse the decision. UN resolution asked Russia to immediately unconditionally reverse the decision related to the status of certain areas of Donetsk and Luhansk region of Ukraine. The resolution didn't pass since the permanent member and president of Security Council for the month of February, Russia is to veto. The resolution received 11 votes in favor and 11 votes in favor and 3 abstentions. China and India both abstained from voting. India deeply disturbed by the recent developments. What is the stand of India? So 11 in favor and 3 abstentions because but nothing will happen. Why nothing will happen? Because Russia has veto power and Russia is a permanent member of United Nations. What is India's stand in current crisis? India is deeply disturbed by the recent turn in developments of Ukraine. India was that all the efforts shall be made to immediate cessation of violence and hostilities. Dialogue is the only answer by setting the differential disputes, however hunting that may appear moment. It is a matter of regret that diplomacy has given up. Path of diplomacy has given up, with Russia managed to hold balancing act again despite the considerable pressure from West to vote against Russia, as well as pressure from Russia to support it. India has maintained a balance. Earlier in 2022, India abstained from a vote whether to hold discussion with the Ukraine situation, also indicated support to Russia's legitimate security interest. India has been in touch with all sides, urging parties concerned to return to the negotiating table. So India is urging everybody to return to negotiating table. India is abstain from voting that the resolution which claimed to which condemned the US Russian aggression against Ukraine. Why? Because Russia a historical friend. It has cooperated India in various crises. That's India do not want to lose its all with their friend. That's why India restrained from voting. What is India's dilemma? India's strategic ambivalence was that big turning point in world geopolitics is born out of its friendship and strategic partnership on both sides. Right? India should not remain as a bloc should not join bloc politics of USSR or USA. Right? In Russia is India's biggest and time-tested supplier of defense weapons. Right? Their long-standing defense partnership. Despite growing friendship with China, Russia has boosted India's defense capabilities with S-400 air defense system. Indian Defense Minister visited Russia with the height of India's crisis and Chinese army the line Chinese army aggression at line of actual control. Russia stood behind India and UNSC on all the issues. Right. At the same time, India has a deep partnership with the United States, which include defense trade, investment, technology, not use connection through Indian diaspora and people-to-people contact with thousands of students living Indian source every year to American universities. And we have a trade that is around $100 billion with America, USA, whereas it is around 10 to 15 billion dollar with Russia, which is a huge difference. So both countries we have a good relationship with both country. That's why we cannot take the sideline of any one country. That's why India abstain from voting. The same with Europe. Additionally, France, one of the P4.5 is a vital friend of India. P5 is France is also very vital. So UNSC needs all its friends in deal with China moves at the LSE. But the need of our for India, what India should do, dealing the fast and the consequence of Chinese expansion in advantage regime, what's its own border, South Asian region, suddenly vacated by America's military presence in Afghanistan. So these are the challenges. America went out of Afghanistan, and China is aggressive. India needs both US and Russia to fend off Chinese strategic and geo-economic threat in Asia. India-Russia partnership is critical on the land of Asia. Quad and alliance between America, Japan, and Australia and India imperative comes to counter the Chinese maritime expansion. So India's major threat as it is China. To counter China and India need the help of both USA and Russia. So we do not want to develop any bad type of relationship with Russia and with USA. It is imperative counter China remains cornerstone Indian foreign policy. Everything, including the Delhi's position on Russia's action in Ukraine, flows from that. Within India's foreign policy establishment, there is ongoing debate on what India might gain or lose by neutrality and consequences of the siding of the West. There is also thinking that West cannot afford to cut away from India at this point, as it needs India's markets. India has helped as a democracy and is seeking partners in China, contempt China. There is an inbuilt tension between the realist position and speaks out rules of violation in one part, while what doesn't call out in another. Therefore, India's position may have to be calibrated constantly and situation evolves, especially if confronted a growing casualty in Ukraine. So as India is a ideal pivot state in China, USA cannot avoid us. We have a huge market. Also to ensure maritime security in South China Sea, USA is cooperating with India so far as Indo-Pacific is concerned, also by the organization that is called as Quad. So India need to maintain balance between both the countries. Next we will see the objective questions. Uh, Consider the following about Panna Triber Reserve. What is Panna Triber Reserve? It is in Madhya Pradesh. Right, it is near Bindha Mountain. Yes, it is near Bindha Mountain, Panna Tiger Reserve. One second. Right. So second, it is a natural habitat of sambar deer and sloth bear. This option is also right. Both the statements are right here. It's a Panna Tiger Reserve. Remember, it is in Madhya Pradesh. It is in your. Another thing is that Ken River, Ken Water River Interlinked Project is located near it. Ken River is flows through. Ken River flows through Panna Biosphere Reserve. It is also a Biosphere Reserve, remember. So here both the options are right. Both 1 and 2 options are right. Next. Consider the following statements regarding United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. What is UNEP? It is started in 1972. Yes. It was founded in 1972 from a landmark conference UN on Human Rights Environment. Yes. This option is right. It aims to help the world meet 17 sustainable goals. Aim, aims to help. It's a normal sentence. Headquartered in Nairobi, Kenya. This is also right. This is also right. All the three options are right. It provides various reports. What are the reports by UNEP? Emission gap report, emission gap report. What are the other reports? Adaptation gap report, adaptation gap report, right? And global environment outlook, global environment outlook. These are the reports that are produced by UNEP. So its headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya. 17 sustainable aims to meet 70 sustainable goals. Founded in 1972, right, under UN. Next, recently Xinjiang province is in China. Very competitive region so far as the Muslim population is concerned. There is human rights violations against the Muslims of Xinjiang by China. Consider the following statements. Pink hydrogen is generated. Pink hydrogen is generated electrolysis powered by nuclear energy. Grey hydrogen produced from natural gas where emissions are captured using carbon capture and storage. Blue hydrogen is captured by natural gas where associated emissions are released by air. So these two are wrong. Only option 1 is right. Next is Syn gas. What is Syn gas? What is a mixture of? Syn gas is, remember, it's a mixture of hydrogen, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane. So all the above codes are right. So here the lecture end. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to Vanik-Ias. Encourage us to continue this program. Thank you.